Hey guys, you want this design but don't have the time to order DTF and you need it quick? This is what we'll do. This is how you want it. This is how it's looking. Here's the way to fix that. And I'm using an image that a Cricut sister was asking about. It's not my image. I did not purchase it, but she has her own PNG file. But I'm just doing this so that you guys can take a look at how to fix and, get craftier than the craft that we're playing with, and help you find other solutions for when you get stuck. This solution, though, I will tell you, will work for t-shirts that are smaller, maybe not so much for bigger shirts, but you could definitely make it work for you. I'm so glad to be crafting again after being without power for a week after the hurricane that hit us. This was just something that I looked forward to calm my mind and my migraines. So glad to be back. All right. So save it as your flat graphic. You went ahead and did all the cleaning at 100% color tolerance. Something I did not know, and I will see it in a moment, and you guys will see it, is that not everything cleared off. So here's what will happen. When you try to go make it as a print and cut, it sounds good until you go to print and cut it. Because first, it's always going to give you a bleed, and the bleed is the easy part to just remove. So this is how it will look, because the bleed will always apply. But all you have to do is click to remove bleed at the one right under 411 on the left hand side. You can have it, add it or remove it there. The nice thing about this is that usually you can get this image and do sublimation and or DTF. I highly recommend that for a detailed design like this. With vinyl, it's a little bit easier, but print and cut is going to be tough to do it individually. Here's what I like to do when you do print and cut. How do you know how hard it's going to be cutting? Is duplicate it and turn it into a cut. You're going to see that every line that's there is going to want to cut individually. If you notice here, I started seeing all these little specks, little dots. Like I told you guys at the beginning, I was cleaning it exact because I'm not going to be the one using this design. But if you ever see that and you're like, hey, I need it to be cleaner than this, and sometimes you'll bring dots or like random little pieces that you didn't know were there. And this is a good way to realize what's going to cut. So go into contour and you can remove them. Now, I know already, but this is something you can definitely test. I know that usually if it's little dots or if a bunch of them or just random pieces, they'll be at the very end of this line at the bottom. So you can scroll all the way to the end. Now, the other way you can do it is you can zoom into the actual picture and start clicking on them individually, but you might miss some. So I'm just going to do this part and just click all of them off. And the reason I did this is because my method of solving for not being able to order DTF will be still using print and cut, but adding an offset. And if I add the offset with all these little dots, it's going to mess it up. So that was just the idea of removing these. Not all of your images will have this. It just so happened that I wasn't as cautious to clean this up. And this was another idea that was brought on by another Cricut sister that said, hey, why don't you just cut it by hand? And you can, but if your cutting is like my cutting, even a kindergartner will be able to see that I cut it by hand. So once you're done with that, you add your offset. And the offset is nice because you can make it as thick or thin as you want. You can have it all joined together like this, which is what I recommend. So that way when you print, then cut, you are able to just do a one slice out of it, peel it off, and then stick it to your shirt. The trick is it's always going to be gray first, but just change it to white. But you have to flatten it. It's going to look like it's gone, but when you go to cut it, it actually will be there. And it'll be printing the So Long London and all of your shapes, and then it'll cut around it. Again, this is how you can tell. Go to change it into basic cut. Any color doesn't matter. And now you'll know exactly how it will cut around it. And so, like I said, it's neat because you can just peel it off and it'll be a one print and cut. type instead of you having to piece it together. When you go to print to get rid of those lines, you'll be able to actually make the changes of the format you want to print here. Now, it's not going to come up for me because since the hurricane, I lost power, lost internet, and so I haven't reconfigured everything in my printer. But under layout, which you can't see it, but under layout, you'll have the option, and make sure that it's glossy photo. That will change your life, I promise. Follow for more.